Let us talk about India's solar energy.
A megawatt of solar, the cost that would have required between 18 to 20 crores back in 2007-8. Today it is nothing more than 3.5 crores kind of a budget, right? The objective for India on the targets is to reach 500 gigawatts by 2030. We are at least having 300 plus sunny days. So we are very well positioned to capture on the solar aspect.
Because of policy or lack of policies, apartment owners are deprived from solar energy, right? What is the solution?
I can sit here and national grid. So the units, the power plant is in Karnataka. It is feeding the power to the grid. I am consuming it in Delhi, Hyderabad, wherever it may be.
Where do you think solar sits in the mix currently for India? Are we leading?
1.2 lakhs that you've invested will result in not just about recovering this, but a savings over the period of 25 years is upwards of 10 to 15 lakhs. Sun will rise, sun will set, there will be solar.
Radhika, what kind of innovations are likely to happen in the next 5 years in your space?
The government is incentivizing heavy subsidies for farmers to take up solar.
In your kind of business, what's your goal behind Freyer Energy? Let's talk finance for a minute. And as you do that, what's the split between urban and rural? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the Sunny Shah Show. Today we are talking with a change maker, a transformative lady who's shaping the future of solar energy in India. I'm talking about none other than Radhika Choudary, co-founder of Freyer Solutions. Radhika, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sunny. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I will be more excited to learn more about India's future and the solar energy and everything that you do. And first question, before we even get into this exciting topic, Radhika, tell us more about who you are, where do you hail from, what led you to believe that you can become a catalyzer in this significantly important industry, and tell us more about your company.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So yeah, I am from Hyderabad, born and brought up there. Did my engineering, went to the US for my master's. Been in the renewable energy sector for almost 2 decades now. And I think overall, always enjoyed looking at the energy sector. All through my college projects were around that. Even my master's program, I worked a lot on fuel cell technology, again solar powered, which is now becoming mainstream when we're talking about green hydrogen and all the other electrolyzer manufacturing India is going to become. But I think solar, I think with India, there is a lot of good synergy. So I started my career in wind energy in the US. And then when I moved to India, I moved to solar energy back in 2008. So from the National Solar Mission timelines, when it was initially announced, I've been part of this journey. And I think it's finally becoming a daily conversation from breakfast to lunch to dinner with friends now, because earlier it was more like, what is the government doing? Large scale projects, maybe solar water pumps for the farmers. Now it's becoming more like, can I keep it in my house? Can I do it for my apartment community? My factory gets electricity bills. What can we do? My school, colleges. So it's a conversation because it's become an essential commodity today. It's like roti, kapda, makan.
Sure.
You also need energy for your daily survival. So you feel more connected with everything. So I think with Freyer Energy, coming to Freyer Energy, it was incorporated in 2014, again with the objective that we are going to be pan-India and also probably look at outside India options and opportunities. And how do you build a scalable model for a small scale business, right? So small projects, homes and businesses, how do you scale it and how do you democratize it? How do you make it more accessible? And I think back then also we realized that technology is going to be the only way we can reach that many customers and build the awareness and tell them why they should go for solar and how do you make their journey simple. So that is where we started, co-founded 𝗀𝗵𝗵𝗍 and I started this company, started with 2 people. Today we are more than 600 employees with presence across 6 states. We are one of the leading rooftop solar companies, and I think we are more importantly, people in the market have not too much awareness as in what to ask in terms of
Sure.
what should be the system size and how do I put it up. So the quality standards, right? So we are trying to ensure that we give something that lasts, because your asset life is 25 years. So that is where we are working towards making the whole journey for a customer simple and smooth, educate them, give them the right solution so that, you know, they are with us for the long term.
So setting the benchmark in the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You said you co-founded this company, Freyer Energy, in 2014. So it's been 11 long years in this
Yes.
industry. And with that positioning that you have, operating out of 6 states, let us talk about India's solar energy journey.
Mhm.
How far has India emerged in the renewable energy space? What's your perspective on that?
I think we have progressed significantly. And like I said, the very first mission India ever took up was the National Solar Mission.
Mhm.
And the objective was 20 gigawatts by 2020, kind of an objective back in 2008 when they launched it. But of course, it took a lot of time to reach that scale, because just to put things in perspective, a megawatt of solar, the cost that would have required was between 18 to 20 crores back
Okay.
in 2007-8. Today, it is nothing more than 3.5 crores kind of a budget,
Wow.
right? So the scale and how the manufacturing base has gone up in India, even let's say China, etc., has significantly progressed. And now coming to India's adoption, today we have about more than 100 gigawatts, about 105, 106 gigawatts installed solar. But if you look at what was it 10 years ago, it was about 2.5 gigawatts.
Wow.
So we have come a long way, but at the same time, what India is, the objective for India on the targets is to reach 500 gigawatts by 2030. That is not that far away. It's in 5 years. And within that renewables, solar, their objective is to get to 280 gigawatts, and we are at 100. So that is becoming triple almost. So that's like huge targets. And is it possible? Absolutely. I think there is fantastic framework when it comes to policy and implementation.
Mhm.
But of course, as we are all aware, renewable energy's challenges primarily are to do with the seasonality. You know, wind energy generates when there's wind, solar energy generates when there is sunlight. Similarly, hydro will generate when there is water. So all these technologies have the limitation that they will generate only when you are blessed with that particular natural resource. And in India, we are at least having 300 plus sunny days. So we are very well positioned to capture on the solar aspect. And, you know, with the whole net zero targets that India has, um, it is here to stay. And I think while electric vehicles and all the other markets are taking off, climate will be a big part of careers for people in the future.
Sure.
And, you know, net zero targets is 2070. So you're talking about this sector is going to last for the coming few decades for sure.
That's good to know. You made a very important point that over the last 10 years, from 2.5 kilowatts to about 100 kilowatts today.
Gigawatts.
Gigawatts, sorry.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, it's almost 50x growth.
Yes.
And you are saying we just started and we're looking at 5x growth
Yes.
over the next 4 to 5 years.
Yes.
With that kind of a scale and wider penetration, how do you think India is positioned as a global leader in this energy ecosystem?
Well, after China and the United States, India is positioned number 3 today already in the market. And to my point, there is a huge objective. Like I said, India is well positioned, right? So you said you spent some time in London, UK. So UK is got a load curve that works very well with wind.
Okay.
So that's why the adoption for wind is far more superior compared to solar. Not that solar is not important, but just the way all the heating requirements are there in the UK, because it gets very cold. The wind energy kind of supports very well. So the offshore wind turbines have taken off, etc. Right?
Okay.
India is also having a lot of wind. Now it is all moving towards offshore. So you're talking about 3 to 5 megawatts, large turbines that are sitting out in the ocean that are generating a lot more electricity
Wow.
than when they're on land, right? So that is what is becoming mainstream. But solar, on the other hand, is like Lego blocks. So you can put it even for one light, one fan in a small rural village or for the defense services who are in extremely remote areas where you can't run a grid line. So solar applications are very wide and modular. So I think that is where the adoption is quite rampant. And I think India is going to continue to be the leader for both manufacturing, deployment, and slowly start becoming self-sufficient and self-reliant with the policies and all that.
With this great opportunity, there are obviously some challenges, right? So
Yeah.
when you talk about the role that your company is playing to make solar mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
what are these challenges that you see and what are you doing to overcome them?
Okay. So I think first thing is awareness, right? So the first step, like anywhere I go, the first question people ask is, can I put it? Who's the right person who can think of going solar, right? It's still a question. I thought we will be over it, but it's still a main question, right? So a factory owner may see that, my operating expense, solar or electricity is almost, let's say, typically their operating expense between 10 to 50% will be electricity.
Wow.
So they pay a lot of attention to how many units are they consuming, what are their options, can they have their own power plant, can they go buy cheaper power elsewhere. So they are always evaluating. But at a home level, people just pay the electricity bill that they get,
Sure.
right? So I think for us, the first step is also to say that who is eligible, right? If you're in an apartment, unfortunately today, the way the policies are designed, I live in an apartment and I cannot opt for solar for my house.
True.
However, my community, literally, yesterday was the inauguration. We've installed around 300 plus kilowatts on the community roof, which will now support the common area lighting loads, lift loads, the swimming pool motor, water, whatever the electricity requirement is there. It's going to offset a significant portion of it, right? So that is one way to do it.
Sure.
But there are 600 flats that would have liked to go solar, but there is no option today with the policies. So that's a hurdle. Unlike in Western worlds, like, if I were in UK, you have the option to sign up with a electricity provider where I can say that I want 50% green power, 100% green power, and actually sign up for it. In India, you don't have that clarity. Of course, the power we consume today has some amount of renewables, but on a real-time basis, the DISCOM is not able to tell you, are you getting 10% green power or 50% green power?
Sure.
Right? But I think there is a huge opportunity for, if there is some policy changes, which is what we'll talk later if you want to get into the details, where we have the choice to sign up, where I say that, I will pay 5% premium if I can get renewables. And that is how your distribution company can encourage customers, their existing clients who are taking the power, to shift to green and actually make a little bit of extra money. But at the same time, it's also satisfying that, I'm doing my bit for the nature and, I'm getting to go green. So I think some of those policies, and I think once we break the awareness, and today, if you've heard, last year there was PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana that was launched by our Honorable Prime Minister, and in February 2024. This was right after, I think, January, February. Yeah, February is when they launched it. So the objective in a nutshell was 1 crore homes to receive solar for their independent houses or apartment communities, and they're going to provide a subsidy.
Okay.
Right? So the minute the government takes an initiative, I think the awareness is multifold. I mean, these podcasts are also going to do that, right? Eventually, the reason we are all here is to build the awareness.
Sure.
So that people who are maybe evaluating now actually take a step. So I think that awareness, when it comes from the government, from media, it becomes more real for a customer to make a decision. So I think those are the things, right? Till now, it was more like regional. So let's say a state like Andhra Pradesh, there was a very active DISCOM. It's called Andhra Pradesh Eastern Power, EPDCL. They always ran subsidy program. It's nothing new. But there is another DISCOM towards Vijayawada and all. They never ran the subsidy, right? So it was very regional. It all depended on who took the initiative, who worked on a subsidy. Now it is all centralized, and I think that will bring a lot more sense for us as a company to grow countrywide, right? Like, it's, the process is uniform, the customer expectations are uniform. Earlier it was almost like Europe. Each country, each state in India has its own language, has its own process, has its own way of, how to subsidize the product. Now it's very centralized, it's seamless, it's systematic. So I think we are also taking baby steps. To summarize that, again, even after the announcement of 1 crore homes, as on date, only about 10 lakh homes have taken solar in 1 year. So that's like a run rate of probably like 1 to less than a lakh homes per month.
Sure.
Now their target is to do 1 crore homes by 2026-27. So imagine the accelerated pace at which this business is going to take off, and companies like Freyer, there is room for a lot of people to start participating here.
You made a very important point in your earlier narration that because of policy or lack of policies, apartment owners are deprived from solar energy, right?
Yes.
What is the solution?
So it's already happening as a pilot. It's called peer-to-peer.
Okay.
So what happens is, let's say hypothetically, I install solar on my house, which is an independent house, but I know that I only use 10% of it and 90% is available. So the grid can decide to say that, why doesn't Sunny enter into an agreement saying that I will buy that balance power? So it's called peer-to-peer trading, and it is already happening in a few countries. It's happening in India as a pilot in Delhi and I think Calcutta. So these are the two places they're just doing a pilot and seeing how that works. It's all electrons. You just figure out where is the generation, where is the consumption, and then you bill accordingly.
Sure.
Right? So if that gets materialized, already the market size is phenomenally big. If that happens, just imagine anybody can decide to go for solar. So I think the market size is going to become like a multi-billion-dollar
Do you think we're going to have like solar farms everywhere?
Yeah.
People can buy from? Is that the future you see in India?
I think so, but I think it'll still be. See what happens with solar farms. Let me tell you. So if I set it up in a third location, there is something called transmission and then distribution. So there will obviously be some amount of losses.
Sure.
So it's always best to generate wherever you're consuming. Right?
Makes sense.
So that is the best way to do it, to make it more optimized. Recently, so India is also going through a lot of grid upgradation. There's a national grid. So what does national grid mean is, now large organizations like your Amazons and Microsofts, they are across different locations and they have huge campuses. Their power requirements are high. Data centers are coming. Their power requirements are high. What they are trying to do now is, they'll have a centralized power plant, let's say in Karnataka, Andhra, wherever the policy permits. But now they will say, this is for my 5 offices in these 5 regions.
Sure.
Right? In simple terms. I don't want to get into the complication of how it happens. But that's an option today. It's called open access policy, where I can sit here and national grid. So the units, the power plant is in Karnataka. It is feeding the power to the grid. I am consuming it in Delhi, Hyderabad, wherever it may be.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So these are interesting things that are happening and disrupts the market and the opportunity.
And to draw parallels, we're talking about renewable energy in general, right? You are a nuclear engineer yourself. You seem to have a very good understanding about all forms of renewable energy, hydro, thermal, hydro, tidal. Where do you think solar sits in the mix currently for India? Are we leading the change from solar? Is it because of the natural resources of?
Yes, so I mean, it was always hydro and wind for the longest time. Now solar is taking the larger part of the pie. Almost 30% of our power today comes from renewable energy.
Wow.
And solar is probably the largest in that.
It's leading the space.
Yeah, it's leading the space right now.
It's very interesting. Your company beautifully blends in technology.
Yeah.
Whether it's technology for the use of adaptation, monitoring.
Yeah.
And it makes and simplifies the end consumer's life, where you are able to predict. Tell us more about this technology that you use.
Sure.
How can it be applied, and how, if I'm the home user, I have a solar panel on my roof. If I'm taking it from you, or if I'm using the technology that you guys have, how can it make my life easier?
Great. So I think it's very simple. You download the Freyer Energy app. And the whole objective of Freyer is to make your journey simple. When I say simple, if today I asked you how many units of electricity you consume, You may not know on top of your head, but if I say how much electricity bill do you get, do you know, is it 1500, 2000, 3000? You'll be able to tell.
Yes.
So what we said is that's what the customer knows. Let's not complicate their journey. So all they need to do is once they download, they have to enter their electricity bill amount, the range, whatever it is, and they have to say it's an independent house or a commercial building or a factory, and they get the quotation instantly. So the cost comes instantly and the system size comes instantly. Now you have a choice. Do you now want to get a financing assistance, right? So you can
Okay.
also apply for a loan.
Wow.
So it is yes or a no, and with the yes, you also know what documents you need to submit and what your EMI will look like and what could your payment. So it's very seamless, very systematic, all the key points you want. Customer today, all they want to know is how much space is required, how much will it cost, right? That's the primary objective before they make any
Sure.
further decision. And that will also tell you if it's like a house, let's say for instance, you're getting a 3000 rupee electricity bill, you put in that in my Freyer Energy app, it will tell you that you will require, let's say, for the sake about 3 kilowatt solar system, that will require about less than 250 square feet of space, which is not a lot, which is easily possible to do. And you will offset almost 3000 rupees per month. So it will tell you quickly that if you invest in solar, a 3 kilowatt system today will cost you about 2 lakh rupees.
Sure.
And you're going to get a central government subsidy of 78,000. So your net investment is only 1,22,000 approximately.
Yeah.
And you're saving how much? 3,000 per month multiplied by 12, almost 30 to 35,000 rupees annually. Okay. And your payback. So what you've invested is around 1,22,000. You will get it back within 3 to 4 years tops. And the life of the plant is 25 years. So that 1.2 lakhs that you've invested will result in not just about recovering this, but a savings over the period of 25 years is upwards of 10 to 15 lakhs. So to me today, if somebody understands this fundamental objective, I tell them, I said, you put that 1,22,000, let's say in a fixed deposit. It gives you between 5 to 6% interest rate, which is reliable, which is what a lot of people feel comfort with. 6% is what? Around 7 to 8,000 rupees you will make. And here I'm saying 30 plus thousand rupees minimum. Sun will rise, sun will set, there will be solar, and your power will continue to generate, right? So to me, the ROI of between 25 to 35%, there is no investment today. You're across
Absolutely.
the world, you're working, guaranteed return on investment is here.
Yeah, you by those stats, you are beating some of the best mutual funds.
Yes, 100%. And the beauty of solar is also the asset is protected.
Okay.
So it's not out somewhere in some remote location. It's on your roof. There are no moving parts. The maintenance is very minimum. It's almost like, I will not say zero, because a lot of people think कि लगा के छोड़ दो, भूल जाएंगे कि उसको साफ सफाई करनी होती है. In India, sometimes in locations where there is a lot of traffic or construction, dust will settle. So it's important that you clean. So with our technology, we are able to send. So the app, once let's say you had installed it, you will get an alert, time to clean your panels.
So you have sensors that
Yes.
takes care of it.
So I monitor all my assets digitally.
Wow.
Through your Wi-Fi. I can see every 15-minute interval how the asset is performing, and instantly know that if the generation is going down,
it's not time to clean.
Time to clean. And let's say for any reason it's shut down also, I get an alert. So I will go and check on it. If there is any other wiring issue, any other problem, things happen. People will have monkeys on terraces in tier 2, tier 3 towns. They ask me what is the solution. They have pigeons and a lot of dirt that happens on the panels. So these are all things that happen. So you'll have to ensure that, you're protected from those things and making sure they're all good. So yeah, so the digital aspect is making you like the way your Amazon and Uber app and Swiggy app are. Freyer Energy app is also digitizing your customer journey from the time you're deciding what is solar, how much will it cost, do I need financing, and you place the order through the app. So you're fully protected with that. Your design comes through the app.
Wow.
Entire 3D analysis, which shows the shadow analysis with the neighboring buildings, trees, everything.
So you take pictures of your home and you send it across on the app? How does that work?
Yeah. So I don't even need that. Google has mapped
Okay.
almost all. If yours a new construction, only then I'll have to actually get a lot of, let's say your site drawing or design or a terrace. So we make a 3D model. It's important in India, because there are times where I know there is enough space, but then they'll say Vastu. They will say यहाँ weight नहीं होना चाहिए, यहाँ पे नहीं रखना चाहिए. मुझे I want to use the roof for walking around. So can we make it like a pergola, gazebo?
Right.
So, and people want elevation.
Correct.
So there are many things. So it's important to give them the visual 3D analysis.
Wow.
And people are very happy and thankful. And you're putting it also in the right place so that there is no shadow, right? It has to be at full generation.
Sure.
It's not just about how it looks. It also should be value to the
It's
customer.
the southwest angle that you...
Yeah, south angle, south
angle,
facing.
correct.
But now with technology, any facing is okay. You just have to run the analysis. It literally can't be vertical. But if it is even east, west, south,
It still works.
It still works. The generation may be like, 3 to 4% lower sometimes. It all depends on the angle again, don't get me wrong. But we do the analysis so that we can share the right solution for our customer.
So this is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm sitting anywhere in India, if I'm having an app, you're actually putting an entire solar journey,
Yeah,
even without me having to contact somebody
Yes.
physically. Is this something that is restricted to the 6 states where you operate, or is it something that you do pan-India?
So the initial intention was to do pan-India. We were always pan-India. But with the way the subsidy has come, what made sense was customers want instant understanding, meet my sales guy, close the order, make the payment. So we decided to just be active in the 42 cities that we have
42
presence
cities.
today.
Okay.
Which is most of AP, Telangana, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, Uttar Pradesh. And one more interesting fact, UP is probably one of the few states which also gives you a state subsidy in addition to the central government subsidy.
Wonderful.
So there, if you had to invest 2 lakhs, apart from the 78,000, you get additional 30,000 or something, 25 to 30,000 additional subsidy.
Wow.
So the investment is further reduced and there is a higher incentive for them to go for solar.
Radhika, what kind of innovations are likely to happen in the next 5 years in your space?
Of course, I think the digital disruption where, adoption is going to go up. The primary thing will be on financing. So that's a big hurdle today where earlier it used to be a bigger hurdle where banks did not recognize it as a product to provide financing. Now a lot of banks are coming forward. But I think there has to be a lot of innovation on how you structure the deal and how that product is going to be created. Because today what happens is, I have some NBFCs that I've tied up with. They also would like to see the asset performances because they are financing it, right? So you have to look at, I think, the remote monitoring, which is what is the asset management platform, which Freyer has. We have an internal platform where I'm able to monitor the assets. I think the future will be where I'm able to get good insights, not just about how your site is doing. I should be able to check with, what panel went into your house, what inverter combination, what kind of design was at your house. And I think those kind of things will start to come. So I think there'll be a lot to do with data analytics. Maybe some amount of artificial intelligence work is also going to be there, where we are looking at multiple data sets and getting some valuable inputs saying that, this region, this location, this house has performed the best. Then we can look at what are the bill of material, how can we adopt that, how can we go back to the same vendor and place orders, right? So those are going to be some analytical things that will happen. I think the second thing is going to be around a lot more on home automation. Today, home automation is considered as a fancy only for like new constructions and only for like high-end bungalows or villas or offices. I think it should be mainstream because the value there is in home automation is tremendously high. So for example, if I were to tell you that today you are getting a bill of, let's say, 3,000, let's go back to the same metric, and you know that around 1,000 to 1,200 is coming from geyser usage.
Right.
Ideally, it would have only been 3 to 400 if you had known, if you remember to turn it off. Correct? Simple insights. Auto switch off the geyser in 15 to 20 minutes. Turn it on at 5 a.m. because I have a flight to catch. Somebody like you who travels a lot, many times you end up turning it on in the night, or whenever you wake up, you turn it on and then you kind of let it run for the course of 3 to 4 hours. There's a lot of wastage. But these are small inputs and a small cost and comes a long way, right? So today we are also thinking that there is a lot that can happen, and it can happen at tier 2, tier 3 towns. Every home today can change their switches to make these smarter homes where you're able to control the lights, fans, everything based on the outside temperature and other things, right? You can run the fan as long as it is 27, 26 degrees, switch on the AC the minute the temperature goes to, let's say, 30 plus outside ambient temperature, the AC kicks in, and the AC setting can also be such that it turns off when it cools off.
Okay.
So they're very interesting things. So there will be a lot of innovation on a home front.
Sure.
When it comes to home automation, it will become mainstream. So I think there will be a lot of development on that front. And of course, we are seeing today that all homes that are taking solar are going electric. So they're getting electric vehicles, and the other way around also. People who are buying electric vehicle, they suddenly see a spike in their electricity bill, like somebody who was paying, let's say, 1,000, 1,500 because of the electric vehicle. Now the bill has become double. So now they're interested in solar. So I think these will kind of work hand in hand, and it's a holistic solution
Sure.
where it's upfront cost, but operational expenses are nil. So I think those combinations will take off in the near future. You will see a lot more adoption of these things that are happening. And of course, at a policy level, like I mentioned, peer-to-peer will become very interesting. And the government is doing a lot on solar water pumps, which we haven't touched, which something Freyer does not do, but we have installed more than 200 to 300 water pumps in the past, in the early years of Freyer Energy, where the government is incentivizing heavy subsidies for farmers to take up solar water pumps. So you power it with solar, and also that is under the PM Kusum scheme. So
Okay.
that's the scheme that is the central government scheme. So I think some of these things will also disrupt a little bit on the technology of solar water pumps today.
Sure.
Right. So that will be interesting as well. This will be some of the basic things in the initial 5 years where, you're talking about 1 crore homes. We are talking about solar water pumps to take off under the PM Kusum scheme. I think these will start to become mainstream, and I think there will be a lot more on end of life क्या होगा, panels को क्या करेंगे, repairs होगा तो क्या होगा, what will be the network that will be there, right? Today, when just an example, IKEA launched their first store in Hyderabad. It was fantastic. It was crowded. Everyone wanted to buy, but nobody knew how to install. Like India mindset was never
yeah.
to install, right?
Yeah.
Then they created Urban Company. They've created a separate line for their installation where somebody trained will come and install that bookshelf or the bed or whatever that product is, and the price is discoverable. So you buy this product, it will cost you X rupees to get it installed. So it is important not to just jump in because there is opportunity. You have to also look at adoption and other things.
Very good
right?
point.
So
Very good point.
yeah.
If I were to look at Freyer Energy, the way you've been explaining to me, I think one significant differentiator you guys have versus traditional solar energy companies is you are tech savvy, tech enabled.
Yeah.
Would you agree to that?
100%. Like I said, my whole day, my co-founder and I are only looking at data at every stage, be it lead generation, be it quality of lead, be it conversions, be it performance, be it how many installations did we get done today.
Right.
Did we take 3 people to install or 2 people to install? So you're talking about efficiencies
Sure.
and numbers constantly. So yeah, data is going to be a big central part, and we have digitized a lot of these platforms.
Let me get into the business side of it. Are you guys building to scale? Are you guys building to sell? And with that being said, right, look at investors, because a lot of our viewers out there are investors willing to put their money and invest into great ideas and great execution plans like yours.
Yeah.
If we were to answer this question, feeding this information to them, what kind of multiples are expected in your kind of business? What's your goal behind Freyer Energy? Let's talk finance for a minute.
Yeah, sure. So I think we have successfully raised multiple rounds of funding equity over the last 4-5 years.
Sure.
And we have fantastic board in place. We have people like Schneider Electric, C4D Partners. We have VT Capital. We used to have even Total Energies. We gave them an exit recently.
Sure.
So we've gone through the full cycle. It's not the first time we are talking about fundraising. We are EBITDA positive. We have doubled our revenues over the last 2+ years, and we are on track to doubling this year if you look at my monthly run rate of business closures. So I think there is a lot of good positive things that are happening today. And the objective is again to build a meaningful company, and more importantly, pun intended, unintended, sustainable company that can survive this growth. I think that's very important. To my point, just because the opportunity exists, if I'm going to expand without my foundation being strong with process and people, it's going to break down. So I think the objective is again to grow this meaningfully, build this to like maybe 1,000+ crore company in the coming couple of years. It's possible. And in terms of raising money, yes, we are just about getting started with the conversations with investors, because in India we closed the financial year ending in March. So we're waiting for our audited financials to come out. So we are probably preparing for having these meaningful conversations. And I think primarily the objective is, like I said, we are digitally enabled. So there is a lot of investment that goes into scaling that aspect.
Sure.
Right. So the second thing is we are the only company in the country to have solar experience centers. These are retail outlets where a customer can walk in, look at what the panels look like, how the structure is going to look like, who are these people, what is the journey going to look like. If I want a loan, should I go through them for my loan? Can I believe, trust in them, because their entire CIBIL score is going to be, compromised if I get you the wrong investor, financer, etc. So I think we have to start looking at expanding.
Sure.
Because and we're not looking to do these in urban cities necessarily. These are all going to be in tier 2 towns. We've already done about 6 to 7 experience centers, and we are seeing fantastic response. And the response is not that I have 1,000 people walking into my store.
Sure.
Please understand that. It is only that somebody who's evaluating solar now has made a decision to go solar. A guy who's ready to make a decision to go solar is going with Freyer Energy, because they see that confidence that this person is on the main street and they're here in case of service issues. And I think that builds the confidence and trust. So for us, we are building that brand today in the market. And I think this is a very smart way. Instead of putting billboards or newspaper ads, I think there is a lot more sense to actually having a physical retail outlet. I mean, no matter how much the banks have gone digital, you still see people walking into a bank to put their fixed deposit or make some change or do the KYC, anything that they require. So there is a mindset of people where they still like to have the touch and feel. So I think we are trying to cater to that wider audience. Also, our app is in multiple languages, which is also going to be important. Like it's in Hindi as well as Telugu, so that people are able to understand much faster than looking at an English app and feeling a little bit of disconnect. So a lot of things on that front can really, the funding can be utilized to disrupt and further grow.
I'll pivot you back to the geo split.
Mhm.
You said you're operating out of 42 countries, 42 cities.
Yeah.
And as you do that, what's the split between urban and rural?
So in terms of business, you can say that it's probably 50-50, because even my rural, tier 2, tier 3 towns, I get fantastic inquiries, and order conversion is much faster because they are looking for a professional service. They are looking for reliability. They're looking for somebody who's done this for a long time. Like I said, if today a new brand launches an electric vehicle versus your traditional Maruti Bajaj launch, there is a difference, right? We've been around for 11 years. The asset life is 25 years. We have to ensure that we are there through the whole term of after sales support, right? So I think that is where there is going to be a little bit of difference, and rural crowd is adopting solar much faster sometimes than even urban crowd. So yeah, so I think in terms of population also, if you look at it, 2/3 of our population in the country is rural, only 1/3 is urban. So even in that sense, we are catering to all the markets equally, and the experience centers are also going to be primarily in the tier 2, tier 3 towns where we are building awareness. Yeah.
How can individuals and communities get involved
Hmm.
through this to kind of elevate
Yeah.
and catalyze this solar movement of our country?
Well, I think if you have done solar, so the problem in general, people's mindset, they only talk when they have a bad experience. right? Rarely they go out and say that, you
Yeah,
should
good.
put solar.
Yeah,
So typically, when you look at reviews and, when they want to keep on talking about that one bad experience, right? I think people who have good experience should also go promote it with their
sure.
family, network, friends. And to my point, even today, when I have my friends evaluating, I never tell them take it from Freyer. I tell them I'll help you make the right decision,
Okay,
share the details, ask them these questions so that you're not going to get cheated
sure.
because you don't know that you have to ask these questions, right? So I think I always focus on that aspect where, you need to start building small communities, talk about the benefits. If you know you're involved, I have a lot of people who are involved in schools, colleges, hospitals. So promote, ask them to go for solar. There is financing available, there are grants available, there are multiple things we can do to help them pool in the money and enable the ecosystem, right? So I think that is where the change can happen from individuals, and you can start it from your house. And I always tell that, one solar system at your house is equal to offsetting all the carbon footprint you have created from your four-wheeler or two-wheeler. So the entire year what you have spent on putting the carbon in the environment, you're removing it by putting the solar. So it's neutralizing the impact.
Well, Radhika, thank you so much for walking us through this solar journey of India, the opportunities that lie ahead, the technologies, and the way uh, is going to transform everything around us and only help and a commoner
Mm-hmm.
adopt to this energy and take benefits
Yes.
out of this renewable form of energy that we have in abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think players like you, companies like yours, are going to play a significant role in accelerating that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And God willing, and hopefully, India achieves this milestone over the next 5 years. And as we do that, we emerge as one of the leading countries in the world uh, when it comes to mainstream renewable energy adaptation. Because a country like ours, with the largest population in the world, deserves to have that kind of an ecosystem.
100% true.
So, thank you for all the insights. And it was fun having you today.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here on the show today.
Likewise. So, ladies and gentlemen, Radhika Choudary, the woman who's catalyzing the solar movement in India. Please make sure you continue to subscribe to our channel. And until next time, thank you so much.